Okay, so on a hilltop in Turkey, there's this monument, right? And it is so mind-bogglingly old, it makes the pyramids look like they were built yesterday. For decades, its secrets were just locked away in these mysterious stone carvings. But now, a totally new kind of mind, an artificial one, is starting to read them. And what it's finding, well, it could literally change everything we think we know about our past.
Because here's the thing, what this AI is uncovering points to a pretty staggering question. What if this ancient, incredible structure wasn't built for worship at all? What if it was built to send a message across thousands of years? A warning about a global catastrophe. First, you've just got to wrap your head around the age of this place. We're talking about 12,000 years ago. That is more than twice as old as the invention of writing. It's thousands of years before Stonehenge was even a thought. It's just ancient on a scale that's hard to process.
And that incredible age? That's exactly why Göbekli Tepe isn't just another old ruin. This place is a complete rewrite of the entire story of human civilization as we know it.
You know, this is where our whole understanding of history just gets completely flipped on its head. We used to think the story went like this. First, humans figured out farming. That led them to build villages. And only then, once they were settled and fed, did they have the time and resources to build big monuments and develop complex beliefs. Makes sense, right? Well, Göbekli Tepe proves the exact opposite happened. The shared belief, the drive to build something massive, that came first, long before anyone ever planted a single seed.
And the scale of this is just wow. To put it in perspective for you, there are more years separating Göbekli Tepe from the Great Pyramid than there are separating the Great Pyramid from us, right now, today. It's almost unimaginably old. And here is the absolute kicker, the central paradox of it all. The people who built this were nomads. They were hunter-gatherers. They had no metal tools, no wheels, no towns. So how on earth did a society that was constantly on the move manage to quarry, transport, and perfectly erect stone pillars that weigh up to 20 tons apiece?
So the how is a massive mystery for sure, but an even bigger one, I think, is the why. And the only clues we have are hidden in these strange, cryptic carvings that cover almost every single surface of the site.
Now, these are not the kind of peaceful images of deer and bison you might expect from hunter-gatherer art. Not at all. The animals here are dangerous, powerful predators. We're seeing snarling foxes, aggressive wild boars, coiling snakes, and then there are these really bizarre and unsettling images of headless humans.
And this is the point you really have to get. We're not just looking at pretty pictures here. We are trying to decipher a symbolic language from a mindset that is completely alien to us. For decades, archaeologists were just stumped. How do you understand a consciousness that saw the world so differently?
And this whole puzzle came to a head with one particular pillar, number 43, the famous vulture stone. It is just covered in symbols, a vulture, a scorpion, a headless man, and the theories were all over the place. Was it a depiction of a burial ritual, a map for a shaman's journey, or, yep, you guessed it, some people even said it was a sign of ancient alien contact. The speculation was just endless because the code seemed totally unbreakable.
I mean, think about it. Without a key, without some kind of Rosetta Stone to help translate these symbols, human researchers were just limited by their own biases and the sheer complexity of it all. They could only see what they were trained to look for. They'd hit a dead end.
And that is when a new kind of archaeologist stepped onto the scene. One that could process millions of data points without any bias, without getting tired, looking for patterns that no human eye could ever hope to see.
So here's how they did it. The process was super methodical. First, they created a perfect digital twin of the entire site using 3D scanning. Then they fed every single carving, every symbol, into a massive database. And finally, they just unleashed a neural network on it to hunt for hidden connections and repetitions across the entire complex.
And this, right here, is what makes AI a total game changer. A human archaeologist might see a carving of a boar next to a snake and just think, okay, cool, a random artistic choice. But the AI, it can scan every single pillar instantly and discover that, for instance, the boar symbol always appears in a very specific relationship to a particular pattern of stars. It doesn't just see the symbols, it sees the system behind them.
And as the AI started processing this ancient blueprint, the first absolutely shocking results began to emerge.
These carvings weren't just art, they were a map.
So, the big question, right? What did it actually find? What was this 12,000-year-old monument mapping out for us? The AI revealed that the animal symbols were actually representations of constellations. Göbekli Tepe wasn't just a temple. It was a sophisticated astronomical observatory built by hunter-gatherers to track the movements of the heavens.
The correlations it found were direct and consistent. The scorpion carving? That corresponds to the constellation Scorpio. The fox? It represents the star system Sirius. And that famous vulture on the vulture stone? Turns out, that's the constellation we know today as Sagittarius.
And this is where we get to the biggest revelation of all. Remember the vulture stone? Well, it isn't a scene of some ancient ritual. The AI's analysis shows it's a precise star map, a date stamp. It marks a specific day around 12,800 years ago when the constellations were in that exact position. And that date? It coincides perfectly with a cataclysmic event known as the Younger Dryas impact, when fragments of a comet are thought to have slammed into Earth. The vulture stone was an art. It was a record of a cosmic disaster, a snapshot of the sky on the day the world changed forever.
You see how this discovery just changes everything? If these ancient people were recording a catastrophe of that magnitude, what was the ultimate point of this monument? Was it more than just a history book carved in stone?
Well, further analysis suggests they weren't just marking a single one-off disaster. The patterns in the symbols point to a belief in recurring cosmic events, a cyclical view of time, where the world goes through these long periods of destruction and then renewal. They basically believed history repeats itself.
Which, of course, leaves us with this huge, profound question. How did pre-agricultural hunter-gatherers have such advanced astronomical knowledge? I mean, where did it come from? Were they maybe the survivors of an even older, lost civilization, passing on its wisdom? Or was this knowledge something they inherited, built up over millennia by people who lived their entire lives under the stars?
And what's absolutely incredible is that Göbekli Tepe wasn't a one-off project. Archaeologists are now uncovering a whole network of these stone hills in the region, sites like Karahan Tepe that share the exact same T-shaped pillars and the same symbolic language. This wasn't the work of just one tribe. It was a massive coordinated effort across a huge area, all seemingly focused on the same cosmic message. So we're left with this. Is Göbekli Tepe a genuine warning passed down from our most distant ancestors about the fragility of our world? A message that we're only now, thanks to artificial intelligence, finally able to read? Or is the AI just a mirror? Is it just finding patterns that reflect our own modern anxieties about the future? That is definitely something to think about.